There was a big giant pro-Israel rally today in Washington, D.C., and nobody showed up. They rented a stadium for 40,000 people, hoped 25,000 would come, and from the looks of it, it only looks like a few hundred actually showed up. I think there's more people in the music bands that played than there was people who actually showed up to watch. And this was even all sadly reported in the Times of Israel. And in typical propaganda fashion, their website reported that thousands of people showed up. But go ahead, look at the stadium. It's almost all empty. In more propaganda they showed what looked like a full crowd in front of the band, but the more zoomed out pictures also show that there was nobody there. There was even some really big politicians that showed up too, like Chuck Schumer. Well, actually, Chuck Schumer didn't even go. He just showed up on a Zoom call. And Mitch McConnell showed up on a Zoom call too. Don't know why. But this is just a sign of the times. A big giant Washington, D.C. rally that was even hoping to get international attendance. There's no more pride and faith anymore after what Benjamin Netanyahu has done. Not just to others, but to the reputation of his own country.
Is this shit a fucking joke? I mean, is this shit literally a fucking joke? I don't understand. Ex-IDF soldier, Daniel Norber, right? Becomes first Republican elected to Long Island seat in more than 50 years. A former Israel Defense Force officer just became the first Republican elected to a state assembly seat. Let me show you a little bit of history about the IDF. Following the establishment of the State of Israel during the 1948 Palestine War. Don't know if you knew that had existed, right? The Irgun began to be absorbed into the newly created Israel Defense Forces. Oh, here's a little background information about the Irgun, right? It was a Zionist paramilitary organization that operated in mandatory Palestine between 1931 and 1948. But this part right here, the Irgun has been viewed as a what organization, or organization which carried out what acts? Here's a little more about that organization that people probably didn't know about. The Irgun was described as a what organization by the United Nations, British, and United States governments, and media such as the New York Times newspaper. And Albert Einstein himself had something very interesting to say about them as well. In a letter to the New York Times in 1948, compared Irgun and its success for Herut Party to what and what parties? And described it as a what right-wing chauvinist organization? But yet people still want to support what's happening in Palestine and Gaza. Somebody make that make fucking sense. Somebody tell me why the fucking ex-IDF soldier now has an elected seat. Oh wait, I know, but there's some things that you just can't say here on TikTok. If you really want to open up your eyes to this shit, I'm gonna do a video primarily on X about it. A fully unrestricted version on every single thing you need to know. Because once you dive into the lobbying world, your entire perspective of this reality changes.
We are here outside of Senator Marco Rubio's office in the Senate, and you've probably heard that he is being picked by Trump to be the next Secretary of State. Well, we had been to his office before, and I was always curious that there was an Israeli flag outside. And I thought maybe he would take in the Israeli flag now to show that his allegiance is 100% to the U.S. government and not the Israeli government. But no, lo and behold, the flag is still here, which gives you a pretty good indication where his allegiance is going to be as Secretary of State.